Good afternoon. This is Slowider coming to you live from Slowider Acres in the northern Sierra foothills today. I guess not that hot, but it's 95, almost 100 degrees where I'm at. I was down in Sacramento. Rode down, there's 50 miles down, 50 miles back, 100-mile round trip. So it's kind of hot. It was 100 down there, so it was pretty hot riding this, but it was good. I had fun. So what I wanted to talk about today was the tires I installed. So this bike really loves these new tires. It made the difference. It's like a whole different new bike. As you guys know, my other bikes are Ducatis. I got a Ducati Diavolo V4, and I have two Panigale V2s, two 2024s. So I know it's hard to compare those bikes against this bike, but I will. Those bikes are awesome. I mean, they're planted, they run, they're perfect. I mean, you can ride those bikes 140, 160, and it just feels smooth as silk. This bike with the stock tires, the See It tires, when you get up to about 60 miles an hour, it starts to shake. When you hit ruts, it vibrates, and you get a little jittering. So when I took this on the freeway with the original stock tires, I would only go up to 70, 75, and that was kind of uncomfortable. It was a pucker factor because you're like, whoa, this is a little bit scary, but it was fine. And you'd feel every crack and divot in the road. And so what I did is I went and I put some nice tires on it. I'll just tell you what I did. So in the back, I put a 150 70-18. It's a Michelin Commander, and that fits perfectly. You do have to go in there. There's a plastic chain guard. You just have to cut about that much out, about a ½ inch, so the tire fits in there. The tire fits perfect. It doesn't hit the chain. There's about, I could fit like a piece of cardboard in there. That's about the thickness. I know that's not scientific, but it's about probably a ½ inch on each side. So it sits perfect. So there's no interference, and that's hitting bumps and everything. So there's no problem with the suspension. So the rear tire, it's a Michelin Commander 2. It goes for $327 US, and it's a 150 by 70 by 18 in the rear, and that makes a difference. And then the one in the front is a Pirelli Sport Demon. It's a 110 90-18. So the front is a Pirelli Sport Demon, a 110 90-18. And what that does, it really improves the handling. I have the original factory front fork suspension and the original factory rear shock, so it made a huge difference. So now, instead of my maximum speed being about 70, I mean, I was cruising this 90 easy, comfortably, and it goes up. I take it up to 100 here and there, but it runs fine and this is on the freeway in California. So typically in California on the Interstate 80, the traffic goes 80 to 90. That's just the flow of traffic. So this bike can keep up with that, but you're pretty much 90% throttle. So if you're going to pass someone, you got to think ahead and go. It's not. That's the difference. But I mean, it's really solid now. So easily when you're cruising 80, 90, this thing is bulletproof. It just feels nice, planted. Sometimes if I'm leaning back, the wind's pushing back. It de-weights the front. You will get a little wobble if you just kind of lean forward and put a little bit more weight on the front. It gets rid of any little shimmering, so it's really good. So as long as when you get up to 80, just lean forward a little bit. So I don't lean all the way over. I just lean a little bit, so you get a little bit more weight on the front rake, and that really cleans up any wobbles. And I also think having the mirrors on here helps, because you're getting the wind force. You're getting the wind drag at the bar end tips, and I think that really seemed to make it more stable, because you got that force stabilizing your front end. So I don't really have any speed wobble. There's really no issue. There never really was. It's just so slight. And the only reason I knew about it is because I ride the Ducatis and they're perfect. So I felt the difference. And the front tire is $153 and the rear tire is $327. And I bought these off revzilla.com, which is the website of Cycle Gear. So there's a Cycle Gear in Sacramento I go to, and they charge about $40 per wheel to mount and balance. So what you do is you just take these off and you take them down and they put the tires on. And that's pretty much it. So I really do like the bike, and again, I'm comparing it to a really fine-tuned machine, which is a Panigale V2 and a Diavol V4. But I think it's for the Royal Enfield Continental GT 650. You know, it's nice. It's got these bar end handlebars, which are not dropped all the way. They're up about 4 inches, so it's really comfortable. So this is kind of like cheating. I'm in my 60s, so kind of like the 2023 Ducati Diavol V4 I have. It's an upright position, and so is this. It's upright without looking upright, so it's a little bit lower, but it's not. You're not like this, which that makes all the difference. Your back bends. I mean, it's fine. You can get used to it, but this is a really comfortable bike. I think it's perfect. Oh, the other things I've done a few mods. So I did put the Red Rooster performance power mufflers. So they basically are decatted mufflers, and I took out the DB killer. So this is running almost like straight pipes. And you could, I was running this with straight pipes. So this is a good bike to get. You could just buy it, and there's like 1, 2, 3, there's 4 bolts. This just comes off. It's really, you could just take that off, and it looks cool. Some people run it like that because the pipes dump right here, and it sounds really good. I mean, it nice. So these mufflers just tone it down a little bit, but I like it fairly loud, but it's not as loud as my Diavol V4 Terminati dragster exhaust on my Ducati. That's really loud. That's ear splitting, and you could feel it in your chest. This one also you feel in your chest, but it's not as ear splitting. But if you like louder bikes, this is good. Or you could put the DB killers in, and it's actually perfect. So if you with the DB killers in, these Red Roosters are really good. They're just kind of a medium beefy sound. And I'll start that up so you can hear it. Let's do a little demo here. So and when you're on the freeway and stuff, you get that good, you do get that good, what I call the snap, crackle, pop, which I like. So when you're downshifting I like it. It does the snap, crackle, pop. People love it. It's a really fun bike to ride, but mainly the tires made a big difference. So you don't need to spend a lot of money on the forks or the rear shocks. These can get quite expensive. I mean, you could pay like a good $600-800 on the back and maybe another few hundred on the front. So I mean, now you're into it for almost another $800-900. So and the other thing I did is I put the high flow K&N filter in here, and I took, there's a cover in here I took off and machined off the intake, so it's a direct intake, so it increased the flow of air in and then out. So there's people, there's Indian guys in India who do dynos, and you get up to about 10 horsepower. So you could take this thing from 40 to 50 horsepower pretty much just with an air filter, a high flow air filter, and cutting the intake so you get a bigger hole, which is safe to do. And then also just putting these high flow exhausts on any one, and it just boot. And that's not even tuning it or doing it, or no big bore kit. You don't need to do any of that stuff. So that's where this bike is nice. Like I'm leaving the motor stock. So the only thing I did